Hello Internet, my name is Marc Allie. I recently had my first official author appearance. It was at a local Comic Con here at the SBU Library in Bolivar, Missouri. Had a really nice time at the con, met a lot of really cool people. They asked me to make a presentation at the con. I was glad to do that. I based the presentation on my two books. First book's I Was Geeky When Geeky Wasn't Cool. The second one is called Don't Stop the Geekin'. Basically during the presentation I talked about how when I was younger being seen as geeky or nerdy made me really unhappy, but it's also about how I learned to get over that and kind of grow as a person myself. So anyway, I got the audio of the presentation itself and I put it in with my slides that I had. They're all combined here in this video for you. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.
My name is Marc Allie. I am, as you can see by my sign, and some of you have come to visit my booth, I'm kind of into a lot of different things. I'm an author, I'm a blogger, I'm a podcaster, gamer. Just generally speaking, I'm a geek. Okay.
So stop the geeking.
So the two of those aspects is being an author and a blogger. So I've written 2 books now, as of last night at about 11:30 p.m. The second book is up on the Amazon Kindle stores. Don't Stop the Geekin'. First book, I Was Geeky When Geeky Wasn't Cool. And both books are kind of about that thing. So if I was going to tell you what this presentation was about, it's about being geeky when it wasn't cool. Right now, being geeky is pretty cool. You can go to any department store and get a shirt that has like Superman or Batman or Captain America or whatever. And here we are in this university library having a Comic Con. I mean, that's pretty awesome stuff. Back in 1984, not so much. All right. So anyway, I'll tell you about my website at the very end, so that'll be fine. So okay, so the gamer part of that. Really big into video gaming. I love classic video games especially. I can't. My twitchy reflexes are not as good as they used to be when I was younger, so I can't keep up with the young kids and my boys. But anyway, I love the old stuff. I contribute to a website called cooptimist.com. I think I've been writing for them since 2008, and basically I like to cover classics. We've done a ton of videos about classic video games and just showing off some of the best cooperative video games of the past. Right now, my focus is kind of shifted there towards being the tabletop person that writes there. So I write about cooperative board games and card games, things like that. So like recently I covered the D&D Adventure System board games for Co-Optimists. Podcasting. I am relatively new to podcasting. A friend who I'd met online through the Retroist website contacted me. He knew that I was into Transformers, big into Transformers. And he's like, I'd like to do an episode about Transformers. Will you come and talk? So I was like, sure. And so I spilled my guts for about 2 hours or so about Transformers. And he's like, this was really fun. Can you come back later? And I'm like, sure. So I've been on every episode since. And we talk about all sorts of different stuff. We covered Jurassic World, and we've covered movie tropes. And we're getting ready to talk about Star Wars The Force Awakens. So that'll probably be like about 8 or 10 hours long, I would guess. Maybe he'll split it up into separate parts. So the last part is being a geek.
Yes.
Right? So I feel like I have to establish my credentials because, you know, anybody can kind of say they're a geek now. Like I said, you can go get your face painted in like Wolverine, say, or something like that. No, I'm giving you.
Nah, that's all good.
But I'm just going to tell you about some of the things about me that are particularly geeky. So I cried every single Star Wars Force Awakens trailer. Niagara Falls. It was terrible. My wife had to hold my hand when Princess Leia was in it for the first time. That just about got me. So anyway, love Star Wars. You can see there I'm wearing my Darth Vader using his inhaler sweatshirt. Perfect for me. Yeah, asthmatic. Play Dungeons & Dragons a lot. I run a blog about Dungeons & Dragons called The Learning DM. So if you ever want to read about how to be a better dungeon master, check that out. D&D is pretty popular these days as well, I think. Okay, so another thing, I played in an adult volleyball league. Now you're thinking, wait, Mark, that's not what geeks do, right? And I have zero athletic talent. We're going to talk about a little bit more about that later. But we did manage to name our team the Chudley Cannons. Anybody understand the reference to that? Yes, it is a pretty obscure reference from the Harry Potter books. I think that's Ron's favorite Quidditch team. Right, okay.
Gotcha. I understood that.
And of course, like I said about Transformers, I have an office at home, quote unquote, and one wall is taken up entirely by my Transformers display. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but there's like several hundred just out in the office and probably double that in the closet in the office. So, you know, playing with toys, something a lot of geeks do. So anyway, and there's plenty of other things that I do that really exemplify the geek, okay? I kind of like I'm a well-rounded geek, if that's a thing. Play tabletop war games. I've seen every single Godzilla movie multiple times. Tabletop video games there. Comic books, wow. I've got 1,800 comic books in my closet, right across from my Transformers in the closet. And I have lots of them on my iPad now. It's a really good time to be a comic book fan, what with Batman versus Superman and all that. Okay, but here, back in 1984, right? All those things that I'm into now, I was also into them then. But back then, it was like it was not cool to be into that stuff. Okay, maybe some of you older ones can understand that. Maybe some of you younger ones, maybe not. But hey, it's fine. It's fine. And so you can tell, you know, looks pretty happy here, right? But really, I mean, like, you know, the hair like that, the glasses. I was teased. I was made fun of. Okay. And I didn't really understand why this was the case. So school was not good for me at all. I hated school until I got much older. And it was because I would just get into whatever it was so hard that it kind of pushed other people away, right? So like when I got into the Voltron TV show, I'd want to play Voltron at recess and talk about Voltron at lunch and do all that stuff. And other people were like, okay, we understand, that's okay. But they thought it was weird that I was so single-mindedly into that. All right? So single-minded focus on all those geeky things, the glasses. Now here's another thing that made me weird. So anybody remember reading Basel series stuff from back in the day? I was reading at 2 grade levels above where the rest of the class, which is, you think it's great. But if you recognize this screenshot here from the classic movie Real Genius, we've got a 15-year-old kid here who is in college. Now, how does a 15-year-old kid in college feel, right? Pretty much left out, like he doesn't belong. And so when I was in 1st grade, going to a 3rd grade classroom, I kind of felt the same way, right? Just be anything that marks you as different when you're young tends to be something that people are going to tease you for, bully you for. And for me, the reading was just one more thing on the list. Okay, so how about athletic talent? None. Absolutely none. Basketball, I think I got hit in the face with a basketball and just bawled my eyes out and just didn't want to play him anymore. I thought maybe Mighty Mites football. I thought I could get into that, maybe form some bonds through athletics with my classmates. And so got all the stuff, went to the first practice. It was raining and muddy out. Coach made us do push-ups and then let go, get our face in the mud. And I told Mom and Dad, I said, I'm ready to go home. I've had enough football. So too much of that. Tried athletics, didn't quite get me there. All right, now put this up here because it's sort of related to a chapter in my new book. Bullies, okay? I dealt with the bullies. I was like primary target for the bullies, right? The kid who can't fight back, the wimp. He's all into all these weird stuff. Always got his nose in the book. So I picked this perfect scene because Johnny from Karate Kid is like one of the greatest bullies in movies, right? Unfortunately, I didn't learn how to do the roundhouse kick or the crane move or whatever. And so my bully, I just kind of had to deal with over and over and over again. It was not wrapped up after an hour and 38 minutes or however long the movie is. And that culminated in a time like the worst, probably the single most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me is when the bully confronted me alone in the bathroom at school, okay? Not a great event. And I was scared to death, and I thought he was going to beat me up. And I wished I could have been anywhere but there. But that's all in the book. I'm not going to spoil any of that for you. But that was kind of how I was. This was what the school experience was for me, all right? It was basically, I go to school, being teased, being made fun of, get beat up on the bus, you know, someone stealing my stuff at lunch. These things happened all the time. And I was so desperate to get to be with the cool crowd, right? I just wanted so badly to be the normal kid that I tried anything. I was in Boy Scouts. Okay, Boy Scouts. Everybody's in Boy Scouts. You get to do normal kid stuff like going outside, learning how to, I don't know, build fires, camping, things like that, right? Well, the problem is I wasn't good at any of those things. And I earned my first few badges just fine, but when it got to where we had to like go outside and do things that were like running and jumping, things like that, I mean, the reading merit badge was really easy, right? But there was like a, like snake studies or reptile studies badge. No way I was going for that one, just there's no way. I got really into whatever my appearance was. I had to wear the right kind of jeans, acid wash jeans, the cuffs folded over, blah, blah, blah. Had to have those Reebok shoes. Couldn't wear anything else because somebody teased me because I was wearing a pair that he saw at Walmart one day. And that broke my heart. I was trying so hard just to be the normal kid. Didn't work out for me very well. So here's an illustration from the book again. And this was kind of when things sort of turned. I got into this program where I was with other kids like me. And we loved math. We were into science stuff. We read all the time. I was with other people who were like me, okay? That happened in 5th grade. And that one day a week was like the one thing I could look forward to that would get me through the other 4 days. And so I made friendships with those people that lasted me for the entire way through school, and some of those people I even still am in touch with now. It was when I found that crowd, that group of people that I could be myself around, that's when everything sort of changed at school. All right? So these people, what did they do? Other people into Dungeons and Dragons. I played Ravenloft, Dungeons and Dragons at the recess with some of these friends in 5th grade for the first time. We got into computers. Other kids didn't really get into computers so much, but I loved it. We made programs all the time, spent hours programming on the computer. Write my own choose your own adventure book, put it on the computer. I read a bunch of science fiction, which nobody else was reading science fiction back then. Okay, but these people that I was with now, these new friends I made, they understood that stuff. We could have conversations about these things. I got into band, and that's kind of a stereotype as being the band nerd, right? I didn't really care because there were other band nerds, okay? And they didn't think it was weird that I was hauling an alto saxophone case on the bus with me all the time, even though the bullies still got on to me about that, but anyway. So that was basically where it all kind of changed, knowing that there were people there who I could develop other interests with, and those relationships there made it such that it didn't matter what all the other people thought, didn't matter what the bullies thought, didn't matter what the people who were teasing me thought. It was about my relationship with those other people and focusing on those things. So we're at a Southwest Baptist University, so I'm going to throw this up here. Whatever your religious persuasions, this is still great advice. Okay? Romans 12:2 says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." So my problem, see, when I was growing up was I wanted very much to be normal. I just wanted to be like the other kids. Being the one wearing glasses or being the last one picked on the softball team or whatever. That really hurt me inside then. But that was not the point. I shouldn't have had to worry about being like those other people, being like what other people wanted me to be. What I needed to do was change my thinking, transform my mind here, like Optimus Prime would say, and those public service announcements back then, if you could remember those. It needed to be more about changing my way of thinking about that, not focusing on what was different about me, and that's not what mattered. What mattered was what was important to me was important to other people too. All right? And so, my final advice for people, if you remember those old G.I. Joe public service announcements, they would always say, knowing is half the battle at the very end. It'd be like, make sure you always wear your helmet, or look both ways before crossing the street, and now I know, and knowing is half the battle. So here's your knowing is half the battle public service announcement here. What you need to do with your life, and some of you are younger, so this is going to fit in with you. Definitely. You don't need to change yourself to fit the crowd. That's not the right way to solve the problems that you have when dealing with other people. You need to find the crowd that fits you instead. And it's amazing that we live in a time now where people can get on the internet and connect with people who have similar interests that, back in the day, we didn't have that. For all I knew, I was the only one who had read, I don't know, whatever books I was reading in 4th grade. There was nobody else in my class that was reading these things. I was the only one who had a huge comic book collection at home. And but now you can connect with people, social media, message boards, Reddit, whatever. And you can find those people that have those similar interests to you. And that's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's a better world for people to be in, I think. And especially if you're looking towards picking someone who you want to marry, perhaps, as you're dating, what have you. I've got my son out in here who is he says he's going to stop dating, or not date until he's 50. I think he's full of it, but we'll see. But you don't need to find a mate that loves you in spite of your interests. You need to find one that loves you because of your interests, okay? So don't be abandoning whatever it is that you're passionate about, that TV show or that comic series or the movies or the books, whatever. Don't abandon that just because someone else thinks that that's more like what they want for you to be. You need to be true to who you are instead. Okay, that's pretty much the presentation. Do you all have any questions for me? Was it just blew your mind awesome? All right, here's some questions for you. Totally off topic. Batman versus Superman. Good comic book movie or bad comic book movie?
Good.
Who says good? Who says bad? I did not like it. I did not like it. You agree. Why do you think so?
It's just too soon. Batman's like the best comic book character ever. If you're going to introduce him, he needs his own movie. It's
Okay.
too soon at that.
It was a little squished all into one. I thought they took too many comics, put them all into one thing. You can't do the death of Superman in 10 minutes. You really shouldn't. You really shouldn't. Yeah, the whole thing with Doom,
I have no one who hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert. I am so sorry. Wow. It did have some cool moments. But I don't know. I just preferred it when superheroes were heroes and they weren't just like, murderers. Batman straight up murdered too many people in that movie. Yeah. I thought for sure after all that, right? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Is that Dark Knight Returns, maybe?
Yeah. I guess Batman in movies has always done that, really, hasn't he? Just always kind of had that maybe a little bit further he goes than in the comic book. I don't know. I was not a huge fan. We'll see how Justice League turns out. I'd say I wouldn't go see it, but I know I am.
Yeah,
I don't have the willpower. Anyway, anything else? Any other questions? Nothing? Anything? How long have I talked? Anyway, probably went too fast. Oh yeah, 20 minutes. Yeah. Well, sorry. Kenny, have a question? Who's that?
The question up there, are you a huge question fan?
Not really, but the
You
question.
like the picture?
I like the picture. It's Steve Ditko art. Yes, so I put that up there.
It's also put at the end when he was asking questions. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a pun. and stuff. Right. Yes, sir.
If you had to choose with your extensive knowledge of a superhero they haven't made a movie of yet, who should they make?
Oh man, Silver Surfer.
Really?
Well, no, they have made one of him, but it was just bad.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Anything Fantastic Four has been bad.
Yeah, I think you really need to reboot it again.
Oh, God.
I don't know. That's a good question. Wow, there's so many great characters. I don't know.
I want to change this question.
Okay, change this question.
If there's one that you could have Marvel Studios redo
Fantastic Four.
or do.
Every time.
Okay.
Every time. All those characters they are amazing characters. Foundation of the Marvel Universe.
I love how they said the best Fantastic Four was The Incredibles.
It is.
It's very true.
It is because it's all about the family part, right? That's what makes those comics so good. And none of them really got it. The very first Fantastic Four movie had the kind of like the Thing and Johnny antagonism, right?
Yeah.
But the rest was not. They all have these weird relationships with each other.
I like Thing and
Like
Johnny's
the
relationship.
Thing and Reed are a weird thing because Reed can't fix him,
Yeah.
right? And he wants to, but he can't. And the Thing is mad because he's like he is, and blah blah blah. And the Human Torch is he's awesome because he's a Human Torch. And Sue Storm's a great character. She's got to manage all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that's the first family of comics, whatever. And they have not been done well. I didn't even see the last one. I heard it was just
Do you have any ideas of what the new Doctor Strange movie should look like?
I don't know I wasn't super into Doctor Strange. I just hope that Eternity shows up in some point.
Yeah.
Because that would be really cool to see in a visual medium like movies, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. What comic character has not been done? I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. Because they've done a lot. They've done the big ones already, right? Pretty much.
Mostly.
I think like the new God stuff, Jack Kirby, you know, Mr. Miracle and all that stuff. That could be done really well, but it's so dense with the mythology that might be kind of hard to get into the screen. But anyway, David, do you have a question?
What's your favorite Transformer?
Optimus Prime.
Of your collection.
Optimus Prime. Any of them? Really?
They were the best movies ever.
Yeah. That's because I didn't get Optimus Prime for Christmas in 1984.
Oh.
Yeah. And my parents, it's their fault. That's why there's 500 Transformers in my house when I'm a 42-year-old man. Yeah. I did not get Optimus Prime. I really wanted him, and I know that sounds terrible. To think that, but it really bothered me that I didn't have that. So now I have the 150. Okay.
So it explains why I'm accessing a relation tag at the moment.
You're right. If you didn't have, exactly. When you pin your hopes and dreams on that, and see, here's the story, and I'm kind of telling on myself here. I heard Mom order Optimus Prime on the phone. She's calling J.C. Penney, and I memorized the item numbers that she was saying. I'd like to order item number blah blah blah, and so I knew, hey, that's Optimus Prime, because I had been, practically had that thing framed and hanging up in my room by then. So, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, I have got 2 more slides here. I'm on the web, marcallie.com. I blog there regularly. You can email me anytime. Come see my booth. I've got business cards that have all this stuff on it, but you can connect with me at Facebook, facebook.com/Marc Allie, Twitter @MarcAllie. Be glad to have you as a Facebook buddy or on Twitter as a follower. We follow each other. Back to the books. I was geeky when geeky wasn't cool. It's on Kindle and paper. I have physical copies. Don't Stop the Geekin' is only on Kindle right now, but probably in the next month or so, we'll have physical copies of that as well. You can sign up for my email list over here at my table later if you like, and I can let you know when it's out, and we can hook up and I can get you a physical copy. And the last thing is I'm giving away a book. So I put on here a piece of art from the greatest comic book artist of all time.
Jack Kirby?
Jack Kirby, that's right. He was the artist for, let's see, Fantastic Four,
Captain
X-Men.
America.
What?
Wasn't he Captain America as well?
Captain America, oh yeah, Captain America, him and Joe Shuster. Just a creative dynamo. And so this is a picture of a caveman boy running away on the top of a dinosaur from some space beast thing, which is about as out there as it gets, but it's totally awesome. I put that picture up there because his birthday is, let me see when it is. Oh, I must have plugged it off. His birthday's August 17th. Who has the birthday closest to August 17th in the audience today?
August 1st.
August 1st. Anybody closer? August 21st. You're closest. You get another book. Awesome. So you could give it to somebody or whatever. You can defer to August 1st. I don't know, whatever you want to do.
I've got one.
You got one? Okay, August 1st. We agreed on the Batman Superman thing, so you come on over. We'll get you good. All right. That's all I got for you today, folks. Thank you very much.